I just realised I took a bite of my biscuit and I can hear myself crunching. Not a good look. Hey, Maura, how you going? I was just having a chuckle. Sometimes you just don't think. And I went, oh, you know what? I'll bite my biscuit while I'm here. And I took a bite of my biscuit and I thought, you know, I'll hear me chewing now. How are you, Moira? Hey, Jules, how you going? Nice to have you on board today. You're a busy little girl at the moment too. You could use a biscuit. These are yummy. These are just the Woolies Anzac biscuits. And every now and again I get a little crazy. I try to be healthy as much as I can. But every now and again I have a breakout. And when I break out, my breakout place is biscuits, cakes. So, hey, Joanne, how you going? Hi, Susan. So, yeah, I like biscuits. So it's either those or chocolate Wheatons or chocolate digestive biscuits. Yum. I find a lot of other biscuits really sickly. So, oh, hey, Maria, how you going from Italy? How are you? Haven't seen you around for a little while. What a day. I have just had the most incredible day. It was just so busy. And I just stopped. Everything seemed to happen all at once. It was like all these things queued up for the day and everything happened at once. So I'm on the phone to get my car serviced. I've got a delivery at the door. I had someone else trying to come through, and I'm thinking that this has just been absolutely hectic as anything this morning. Don't know what's going on. So crazy. My car is at I think 54,000. And hey, Cheryl, how you going? My car's at 54,000. It's due for a service in December at 62,000, right? So I know that because my car's only a couple of years old, and I get free road service. And the road service people were chasing me up because of COVID, I hadn't gone for my service at the time I needed to. So it was sort of like it had all gone over. And so I've had all these people chasing me today too. Hey, Scott, how you going? So it was like on the phone. I was like my own secretary this morning. I was like ringing everybody and sorting everything out. And I've still got, I think, two more calls to make. And I haven't really done anything that's normal for my day at the moment. So I've been into town. I've done some shopping. It's crazy. So it's sort of nice in a way to have YouTube. I thought I can sit back and chill for a little while. I'm happy with that. Hey, Jane, how you going? Wow, it's lovely to see you all here today. Well, there you go. How are you feeling, Jane? How are the allergies? Oh, we have Joanne speaking in Italian there. How beautiful. I need a personal assistant. Yep, I definitely do. I'm thinking I don't want to be sexist here, but someone with a nice butt would do it for me very nicely. Yeah, sometimes it sort of feels that way. You know, I sort of feel like sometimes I should be so much more in charge of things. I have so much more time on my hands. I'm not going backwards and forwards to work, and yet I am busier than I've ever been. The only good thing is I'm actually sleeping a little better at nighttime, which is pretty cool, isn't it? So somehow or another, you don't realize how much Scott, you are way naughty. You don't realize actually how much work stresses you out and how much easier it is when you work for yourself in that regard. I miss the people I used to work with because obviously I had a really good crew of people. I'm going to sleep at 9, 10 o'clock at night now and not waking till 5 in the morning. So that's pretty good for me. I was barely getting 3, 4, 5 hours sleep before, and now I'm getting a decent night's sleep. So I think that there is a lot less stress when you're not working for other people, but I think so. I don't think you realize that stress. I think I never felt stressed for sure. But I think it's the stress of sort of knowing that what's coming the next day, whereas sort of doing this work is so natural and it's so easy. And I've had some incredible things happen to people I've been working with this week. So I'm very pleased that I decided to do this journey, because I'm watching people just absolutely blossom like you won't believe. Yes, Jane, I think we're getting a little bit to the point. Hi, how you going? Listening to President Returns. There's going to be people not happy about that. Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of a bit of a fun thing as you get older. I think I never found time to do things before, and I'd get so frustrated trying to get things done, and even something like, calling someone in to repair something, or, having to go somewhere was always such a struggle, where now I just plan my day around that. I've still got a pimple on my nose, by the way. I was sticking my nose where it shouldn't go. Jane, it's really good to hear that hey, Kate. Oh, hey, Caitlin, how you going? Really good to hear that your allergies are subsiding. How's my favourite cow? Everyone's doing well, I hope. Some people are doing exceptionally well, Jeanette. I've had like a few people this week who've just been really going great guns at things. So I think there's a lot of movement around. I honestly can say, how are you, Santana? I can honestly say my unfavourite thing to do at the moment, and my daughter was very Mama Cow is amazing, good. I don't like driving anymore. I love driving long distance, but I don't like driving around town. Hey, Mary, how are you going? Lovely to see you.
Hello, I'm fine. Thanks.
You're welcome. So Siri talking to me here. Oh, good. I'm glad you called us live. I went out in the car and I realised, and I was sort of debriefing with my daughter on the way home, because I probably nearly got wiped out by other people a couple of times in the car this morning, and I was sort of like trying to race home because I knew somebody was bringing a delivery. So a couple of times on the road, people just decided to come over without looking first. They're going so fast, they sort of run really hard up the back of someone else and then realised they needed to come across and weren't really like thinking about what they were doing. And a couple of times I had to slam on my brakes to let people come in. Anyway, I was really frustrated about it, and I sort of like debriefed with my daughter. So I gave her a call and said, I need to debrief. I'm really cranky. I need to sort of just air out my woes and my problems. Victim mentality. I hate being on the roads with bad drivers. Anyway, so it is my pet hate. Anyway, so I rang my daughter and she said to me, I think that they were always like that. And I said, really? And she said, yeah, I think drivers have always been that way. She said, I think you've just not been on the roads for a long time, and therefore you're now seeing it differently. And I went, oh, that's really interesting, because all our concepts have been changed. All our concepts of things have gone upside down. Because there's been a few things this week where people have said things and I've gone, hang on a moment, that's not the way I'm seeing them. So why are we seeing things differently? And I think it's because we've been, our whole way of thinking's changed. So I've had a lot of people say to me, yeah, I've had a lot of people that have said to me, Priestess Moon in Cancer. How interesting. I've had a lot of people say to me things this week, and I'm trying to think of some of them that really have changed our way of thinking. So a lot of people are, sort of come to me for readings and they say, I'm either really stuck or whatever else. But the thing I'm getting at the moment is everybody feels like they're at a crossroads. So there's very much this energy of people wanting to change their lives now. This isn't so much about the floundering. It's like, I want to bring change in. And I've had a lot of people say, you realize how little control you have over your life and how short life is when you're fronted with these sort of changes. So it's like people are starting to change their way of thinking. And even I, with that whole car thing this morning, thought I've grown so adapted to just being at home a lot more, doing my own thing, that when I go now in public, I experience it very differently to what I did before. Oh, thank you, Priestess Moon. Thanks for the heads up, Scotty. Oh, did you tell Sarah again? Oh, you guys. That's too funny. So there's this whole sort of different way of being. It's a different way of doing as well, but it's a very different way of being. So it's sort of like we grew so accustomed to doing things a certain way. So another example, my car needed a service and I knew that it needed a service and it's not due till December. And I was saying at the beginning, 62,000 I think is due. And it's only 54, but I knew I needed new tires. I haven't been driving. So it was sort of like I've never ever in my life ever had my car not get to the kilometres prior to the date. So usually I've gone way over kilometres and my car needed servicing always before I'd get to the date. So this morning I thought, you know what, I'm gonna just have the car serviced and get the tyres done because I figure if I want to go away now, I can just hop in the car and go. I'm off to Bathurst, of course, this weekend. And I got on the phone and tried to think about the car and, you know, dropping the car off in the morning, how was I going to get home, all of that sort of thing. And because I've been in another place doing that until now, it was really cool. So I'd ring up and I'd say to them, can I have a service vehicle or whatever you like to call it, a complimentary car while I'm running around? And I kept thinking, well, I really don't need that anymore. But I thought, you know what? I was quite happy to just sort of drop my car off and probably just walk home. It's probably about 5 kilometres, but I thought it won't do me any harm. And then when I got on the phone, I thought, no, I see how you change your thinking. And I was like, no, I want a complimentary car. So I thought she might say to me, because at the other place that used to do my car used to say, oh, you know, do you need it for work? Do you need to get backwards and forwards to work? And they would organise, you know, lifts for you and things like that. And I thought, no, I'm not going to completely change my whole way of doing things. I want a complimentary car. So I asked for a complimentary car and she said, well, unfortunately, then we can't fit you in till the 16th of November. And I was like, that's fine. I'll wait till the 16th of November. Not a problem. Yeah, I'm off to Bathurst on Sunday. I wasn't going to do fairs this year, to be honest, because I'd always done, last few years I've been doing fairs all over the place, all over New South Wales. And I decided that I'd step back from them, but somebody sort of encouraged me and I thought, you know what, if I'm going to be encouraged, there must be a reason for that. So who else has noticed how they've changed the way they do things now? Yeah, hopefully Queen of Water, they'll be back soon. This fair we're doing is a little bit sort of socially distanced, but we can still do it because we've got big tables. So we can still sit people far enough away from us. And we've got to do the hand sanitizer and everything as well, which is cool. But I'm really excited because Bathurst is a place I've always had a lot of people come to me there. So I'm very excited to be able to catch up with people. What have you changed, Jane? Share. What has changed for you as a direct result of COVID? Because I know you're one of the people, and I hope you don't mind me saying this. Jane is a school teacher, and she has been doing a lot of her work from home during COVID. And where Jane lives, there's a very high amount of COVID cases and testing. And last week, Jane took me for a drive, a virtual tour around her farm. And I got to meet a beautiful cow. So that's why I asked about her cow earlier. Not yet, Scott. The other fairs, the other people I do fairs for haven't started back up yet. But I have a few people I do fairs for. I really love doing their fairs, so fingers crossed I can get back to them. Loving the smell of perfume on the rare cases. Yes. Now, can I tell you something? I'm not a really materialistic person. Not really. I'm quite happy to grab, a cheap outfit, cheap pair of shoes, whatever. But the one thing I'm really fussy about is perfume. I love my perfume, always have done. And I've always bought good perfume. And it's fantastic because everybody always knows what to buy me. That and bath stuff. Love bath bombs, candles, all that sort of stuff. It's a really girly part of me. Probably the girliest thing I am. So anyway, so my kids, every year all my kids would buy me perfume. And I said to them each year, don't buy me perfume this year. I have so much perfume because I haven't been going to work. I haven't been using perfume. Isn't that interesting? So I'm like trying to Lush. Oh my God, their bath bombs are to die for. I had a big box given to me a couple of years ago, and I've only just finished them off because I was just didn't want to get to the bottom of them. But Lush bath bombs, the best. They're the bomb. So I haven't got to Lush for a while, and I looked on the internet, but it's really hard to know if you're getting good products on the internet too. So, but I have one bath bomb left, I think. So I'm really putting off. It's like everything else. I always put off the last. Not very good at goodbyes. So I always sort of get to the end of a series on television or watching a series, and I find it very hard to watch the last episodes. And I'm a bit like that with my bath bombs. I'm looking at that last bath bomb thinking, you know what? I feel like that's the end then. So I have to get some more bath bombs before I use the last one. Teaching with technology is such a challenge. Being home and zooming into the classroom at school is a challenge. Jeb, our 15-year-old, is quarantined due to a classmate testing positive. That is really tough. Really tough. Oh, golly, Jane, you are absolutely beautiful. You are enough. My grandsons, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but they had somebody at their school too. And one of the twins had to be tested. And so he could go back to school. And they did the COVID testing, and he's only 7. They made his nose bleed quite profusely too, apparently. And he was absolutely devastated because he just didn't want anybody else in his family to be tested because he didn't want them to have a nosebleed. So that's really distressing for a child, isn't it? Hating the supermarket. Oh, Dexter's coming back. Yes, I know. Oh, Dexter. I love Dexter. I was so disappointed when they finished it. I really was. And I know they're talking about making another season, and now I have to go back and watch the whole thing because it took me a long time. So I can tell you now, Sopranos, Breaking Bad, and there was another one. I just didn't want to watch the last season because I was so in love with the shows that watching the last season was like saying goodbye to something, and I had I'm not very good at saying goodbye to things. It's a problem for me. I think it's something to do with empathy. I'm very uncomfortable with saying goodbye. Oh, so you still got to, yeah. I sort of get that, Jane, because the COVID thing. The few people I know that have had COVID, one of them said when she tested positive, but she still didn't get sick for another few days after she tested positive. So I know that there's been people who've tested negative and actually been positive. So it's really a very, very strange virus. Outlander, I watched the first season, loved it, got halfway through the second season, and I just got over it, and I've never got back to it. So Supernatural Tarot, I've already ordered it, Moira. Oh, big Supernatural fan. Still haven't watched the last season. I can't bear to say goodbye to those guys. Oh no, that's a tough one for me. I'm going to I absolutely love Sam and Dean. I've watched this. I've got all the Supernaturals on DVD. I've watched them many times. I just watched them not long ago up to season 13, and that is all I'm doing at the moment. I've got to pluck up courage to say goodbye to both of those. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the saying goodbye thing. Twin Peaks, I have all of the Twin Peaks. Yes, David Lynch. I have all of the Twin Peaks and I loved it. And Lost, anything quirky. I love quirky stuff. I did watch Lost right to the end though, because I was really curious about how they were going to end it. And the really funny part was they pretty much went down the road I thought they were going to go down. So I loved any of the quirky stuff. I'm about to go back and rewatch The Sopranos because I really did love that. I'm watching at the moment. I'm about halfway through Justified because I absolutely adore Timothy Olyphant, so I'm totally in love with him. So I'm halfway through Justified. I've been watching Bloodline, which has been really good. I'm about halfway through Bloodline. And there's a few others that I'm sort of midway, and I just watch them according to where I feel. The other night, Fifth Element. Love Bruce Willis. Yellowstone. Now, I tell you what, my daughter's been watching Yellowstone and she said to me, Mum, you probably really like it. So it's next on my list. Oh, Sarah, you're going already. See ya. Bye. It's very violent. I watched the Vikings. Did you? I haven't watched the last season of the Vikings either. So I haven't watched season 6 yet. I loved the Vikings. Big fan of the Vikings. I thought it was a brilliant series. And I know it's sort of, there isn't a lot of history. Did I tell you I'm 6% Viking? Or 8%, somewhere around there. But a great series, but very, very violent. But it's sort of in context, so I was okay with that. I do like horror movies, though. But I'm not such a fan of the blood and guts, but I can watch it. But the Vikings, yeah, brilliant, brilliant show. Brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I probably would like Yellowstone if I liked the Vikings. Cool. Cool bananas. Yeah, I don't mind. I can deal with violence when it's in context, let me say. I find it more disturbing. I used to find it. I haven't watched the news for years, but I used to find that when I watched the news or if somebody put something on Facebook that was violent, especially if it was animals, I would find that really uncomfortable. But when it's in context in a storyline and it's not sort of real, I can deal with that. Oh, you love the Vikings too. Oh, it's such a good show. And Sons of Anarchy. Oh, I was okay with Sons of Anarchy, though. It took me a long time to watch that. It took me several times to get into the first episode. I found it really hard. But once I got past the first episode, I really started to enjoy Sons of Anarchy, but I didn't have any trouble finishing it off. I was actually really happy to finish it off, really happy to sort of get through it. Has anybody watched Ozark? You tell me now you've watched Ozark, because it's really good. So I've just got up. I finished Ozark. I'm waiting for the next season. So big Jason Bateman fan too. Love Jason Bateman. He's a crack up. Oh, Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones. Both of them very, very good. Both of them very different. Breaking Bad is brilliant. It's really brilliant. But it's a bit like Dexter, where the hero of it probably shouldn't be the hero, but you can't help loving them. Breaking Bad was very good. But I found it, I loved the characters so much that I found it very difficult to watch the last season. It took me about, I think, 2 years to get to the last season. Game of Thrones, and The Walking Dead. Walking Dead, I haven't seen the last season of, but Game of Thrones I watched right to the end. But brilliant, brilliant. But everybody sort of like was either, oh, I'm not watch Game of Thrones. And I was like, well, that's fine. Don't watch Game of Thrones. You're missing something fantastic, but that's entirely up to you. The first season was a bit harder to get through than some things are. It was a bit complex, but so are the books. So I sort of understood that. But it's very, very good. Yes, Jason Bateman. Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of a shame that, with the Game of Thrones thing, because you don't really know about the dragons really. You don't really understand how the dragons fit into the story, but if you watch the show, you will understand what that's all about. So, but then, it's not quite the same as like the Lord of the Rings or those sort of things. So, yeah, so it's probably good to watch Game of Thrones to see. It's really complicated, but you would understand what I'm saying once if you watched it. Because it's not just about the dragons. There's a whole storyline behind that. But it's very good. It's very clever. But it is a bit hard to get through the first season because there's a lot of complicated. You know what it's like, old England, all the families against each other, people after different thrones, a lot of people being overthrown. But what I loved about Game of Thrones was it was always, always surprise you. You never sat pretty where you were. Something always happened out of the blue. A bit like Walking Dead, really. But if you're not a zombie person, I love zombies and vampires, serial killers, all of those things. But yeah, The Walking Dead was a bit like that. Like you never see things coming. Some of those writers, a bit like Joss Whedon with the Buffys and the Angels. There was always these things which Joss Whedon did where, you know, somebody would just get sort of killed off out of the blue and you'd be like, where did that come from? It was almost like, yeah, I'm just going to kill off this character. Now you've got to like them. And that's tough. It's really sad, but it's surprising. So it keeps you on your toes. But that was good for that reason. So we're a little bit quieter today than what we normally are. I was going to do some reading, but I think I might leave it. I'll do some when I come on next time. And hopefully I'll get onto Instagram this Friday and we won't have any calamities or anything this Friday. So I think some of the people that Jules says she's a real hermit. I don't watch TV shows. Are you missing out on something? You know what? I guess everybody to their own. I've just got a Married with Children. I loved what's the show he's in now? Gone completely blank. People watching the election, maybe. Somebody just said, actually I should Google it. Somebody just said something about the election here. Okay, let's have a look. Something about the president getting back in again already. So I'm thinking it usually takes days to have a result. How does that happen? Oh, yeah, so it's on live, yeah. Okay, so they're actually running it live. The polls are still open, yeah. Because I read somewhere, I was looking, yeah, it's pretty scary, isn't it? The red capes. They wore the red capes. I'm not sure which one it would. Yeah, Scott, they were saying that there's been a couple of times when they've had elections where it's been such a big landslide victory, they've been able to announce it straight away. A bit like Australia, I guess. If it's a landslide and it's obvious, you know how they do that, like an instant announcement or a straight up announcement if it's landslide. But they were saying that if it isn't a landslide victory, because of the fact there's all these, especially in the American politics, there's all these changes they make to the voting stuff. So apparently that can take some time to get organised, and they said it may be weeks before we know, especially if it's close. Fake news. Yeah. Okay, you're talking about The Handmaid's Tale. Handmaid's Tale, I read the book for, I don't know whether it was university, school, TAFE, one of those things we had to read the book for. The Handmaid's Tale. The book was brilliant, but I know that's the one you're talking about, yes. The book was very, very good, but I've never watched the series, so I can't say that I've watched the series. Has anybody seen The Invisible Man, the new one? If you want to see a good scary movie, that's awesome. There was a couple of parts in that where I needed to hold on to my knickers, I can tell you. It was over the top. And my daughter and my daughter and her partner and I watched it together, and her partner doesn't even show anything. He just sat through it. My daughter got sort of jumped at parts that I didn't jump at, and I let out a few good howling screams at different parts. I thought it was really, really clever. And there was a couple of parts in it that were so cleverly done, but I loved it. Now, it's very different, I think, Caitlin. It isn't like the one that was done in the 60s. It's a little different, but still very clever. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I've been watching a few things lately because it's really nice. Sometimes I've got, this is the difference with not working for a company, being able to work for yourself. So sometimes if I have appointments overseas, I might be busy in the morning, especially with America, States, US. In the evenings, I do a lot of stuff with England and Europe because it works better. But sometimes I have these gaps in the middle of the day, which is really cool. So I can go and chill out and watch something. That's why I said my lifestyle is completely different now. You have to cover your eyes at those points in the movies. It depends. Yeah, the Invisible Man is very suspenseful, so you probably would. I carry a cushion. I carry a cushion because I feel like if you only look a little tiny bit, then that's okay. So I have the cushion up to my face, and I don't let too much in. But that's the thrill of it. That's the fun of it. Getting that, like, your blood going and your heart pumping, and it makes it very exciting. So I like to watch things that are really like that. I am truly my own boss, Jane. Yes, absolutely. And you know what? I'm a great boss. If I'd have known I was going to be this good a boss, I would have worked for myself a long time ago. So my lifestyle, yeah, is really different. So I can get up in the morning, do a bit of work, have a nice big lunch break of about 4 hours. Sometimes I have a bit of a nana nap in there. And then I go back to work in the afternoon. So my lifestyle has changed quite dramatically. And I really like it. I like it a lot. I used to find when I worked 9 to 5, I never worked 9 to 5. I always worked 6:30 or 7 through to whenever I finished. And I used to find, especially when I was managing teams, sometimes I used to find by Friday afternoon I'd be dragging myself, especially if I was working in Sydney and I'd have to train backwards and forwards from Campbelltown. And coming home going to work in the dark, coming home in the dark. And I look back and I think, no, I just love what I'm doing now. So it's great fun. I can go on a lot of dates. You know what, Scott? I'm off dating now. I did my little bit of dating and I'm off dating again. I figure I've done my dash. There's too many reasons to find why you don't want to date people. And I just, it's not a non-dating time, at least for a couple of months. My fantastic weekend. Okay, so let me tell you about my fantastic weekend. I actually did a lot of work on myself over the weekend, and I was really, really lucky. I did a lot of meditations, looked into a lot of things, did a lot of healing sessions, and spent a lot of time by myself in my own company. I guess at the end of the day, there's a question as to when you will feel completely comfortable with who you are. And I was watching, oh golly, I've forgotten her name. One of the gurus on YouTube that I watch, Christina Lopes. Anyway, I was watching her and she was talking about something. And I thought, you know what, there's some really incredibly good people on YouTube who still see the need to work on their own personal issues. Every now and again, something sort of slaps you in the face and you think, I'm just not quite where I'd like to be. I need to sort of move myself further. And I know that the next stage of my journey is about to hit. I know it's coming and it's very, very close. So it was sort of like spending a bit of time sort of revitalizing and rejourneying myself for the next phase. And that has been quite a big one for me over the weekend. I had a lot of eye-opening epiphany moments where I had questioned where I was and where I was going. It's a never-ending journey. And you know what? I wouldn't, like I say to people, I would never go back. I would never go back. Like clearing some of the junk out of my life has been the best thing I've ever done. And I think, for most people really see, having an understanding of why you choose to go on the journey you do is really good insight, but it's never ending. So it's sort of like you get to this point and you think, it wasn't me that set myself off this weekend, by the way. It was something that happened to someone else. And I saw what happened and it made me realize how much the journey, in terms of, childhood relationships and things like that, make you question, a lot of things about yourself. I don't think that I could do the work I did if I didn't feel that I was being 100% true to me. So, when I'm called to do some work, or I'm called because somebody else has had something happen and it brings something up within me, I realize that I need to go back to the drawing board. The one thing that I still am working with, which I want to share with you, is my anger. Because for many, many years, I always thought, because I never had ups and downs, I always seemed to travel on an even keel. And I never really had excitable moments, and I never really had down moments, but I had a lot of in the middle moments. And I used to think I had what I would class a melancholic personality. I used to think that's just who I am. Well, it turns out I'm not. But because of that, see you, Jules. Hi everyone, how are you, Shah? Because of the fact that my moods were always sort of very in the middle. And I used to say to people, I never get angry. I couldn't understand that. And I remember reading something about, people who say they never feel angry are people who don't actually feel their anger. So I started doing some more shadow work, and it was due to somebody else, that sort of something that happened to me that I wanted to really understand what had happened. So I started doing some shadow work. And after that, oh my goodness, all the emotion, all the anger, all the disappointment, all the upset all came to the surface. And of course that you've just got to address it then. I am so not comfortable with my feelings of anger because they're so different for me. I've never really, I guess, felt the anger. I've had the flashes, don't get me wrong, and we're talking about car driving earlier. I often get cranky when I'm driving, but it's very fleeting. Like I'm like, when people go past, and then I'm over it. I'm like, okay, I've expressed myself. I've probably said the other day, I swore in front of one of my grandchildren, went, ooh, he said to me, you've said a naughty word, Nonnie. And I said, yeah, I did. And that was really not nice of me. And I'm sorry, I apologize for that. And I guess it's sort of now experiencing, being able to sit in your feelings is where I am learning. Because what happens is when you're taught that it's wrong to be angry, or you're taught it's not good to express yourself in an angry way, instead of being taught how to work with your anger, which is how I taught my children, it's okay to feel angry, you just need to work out how you're going to work with that. How are you, Jess? And now I have to learn. So it's almost like my whole lifetime now I have to understand how to sit with my emotions. And I've told many of you, I think I was probably a robot for most of my life. I don't think I allowed myself ever to feel emotion and never, ever express myself. It was better left hidden. It's too scary to tell people how you're feeling. It's too scary to express yourself. And it's certainly very, very scary to sit in your emotions. Anyway, so I was watching Christina Lopez and I was thinking, I probably should do this. And she suggested that when you're doing shadow work, it's really good to understand your emotions and just sit in your emotions for a little while. Holy dooly, did that teach me a lot. Being able to sit in your emotions and actually experience your emotions is very challenging if you've been a person who was always try to see things from a logical perspective rather than understanding the feeling stuff. It's a very big thing to try and do. So I worked on it all weekend. I had a fantastic weekend for that reason. I really embraced my emotional side. So it was really good. And certainly had some big moments of really sort of understanding the journey. And I think a lot of other people are doing the same things as me at the moment. Sometimes I talk to people and they talk about what they're going through. And I think, isn't it strange that, the collective is sort of experiencing a lot of this stuff? I'm happy for you to chime in. So if you've been doing some of this work, share, because then other people understand how important it is too. But sitting with your feelings. If you haven't tried doing that, try doing it. It's really incredible. No TV, no music, nothing. just sitting with your feelings. It's pretty cool. So I'm waiting for somebody to chime in and say, I've been doing a lot of work on myself at the moment, and this is what I've been experiencing. I don't know that everybody does the level of work I do. Somebody said to me once, haven't you had enough of doing that to stop? And I was like, I can't. I'm learning. Yes, see, Jane has been too. And I've seen the changes with you, Jane. I'm sure somebody said to me yesterday, one of the people I've been working with said, oh my goodness, I can't believe how far you've come, Yvonne. You're so different for the person that did the readings at the very beginning. And I have. I was like, you think about it, I've gone from being comfortable with showing my face on screen. My voice doesn't quiver as much as it used to. I'm really comfortable about being myself. I was always so self-conscious of who I was. And if people didn't really see who I was, I didn't really feel comfortable showing them more. So I was very, very picky about who I opened up to. And now I just talk to all of you about everything. So life has changed quite dramatically for me too. You've never got angry about Joe's death. Well, Jane, I want you to do that. I want you to go and sit in your feelings. It is amazingly cathartic. It really is. But we'll talk about that next time. I even wear my PJs. You know what? I thought about, and I'm gonna do something with it because I thought it brought something home the other day because I sat down at my kitchen table and something sort of, Haley, I was just sort of alluding to you. You went through a divorce. Yes, Amy, that will do it for you. Heartbreak is the greatest way to crack you open, unfortunately. So the other day I was sitting at my kitchen table and it was the very same. So I've still got the same kitchen table and chairs that I had in my other place. And when I first started doing the readings, so I was actually in the second place. And I was using that screen behind me to cover up the kitchen. And I was doing the readings at the kitchen table. And I had my phone. So I used my phone. That was all I had was a phone. And I'd bought myself a stand to put the phone on. And that was it. And you only saw my hands. And I remember doing the very first taping of a reading, and I did it so many times before I felt really comfortable with doing it. And people said to me, your voice is quivering. And I was like, oh my God, you should know how nervous I am doing this. This is me using the voice that people made fun of. It's me using the face that I've never been a fan of. And it's me showing who I am, which I've never been very comfortable with. So it was a big thing for me to do that. And look how far it's brought me. So it was sort of like I was sitting there doing it the other day at the table and I thought, I can't believe myself how far I've come in 2 years. You didn't know what I looked like. And when I finally decided, to show my face, I'm pretty sure that I blushed ridiculously the first time. So what sort of work have you been doing, Amy? Do you want to share? Oh, no, I didn't say anything about you, Haley. I just alluded to you saying to me how much I'd changed. I didn't mention your name at all. I just said, somebody said to me the other day something about how much I'd changed since I've been doing this stuff. And it's brought me so out of my shell. I never really thought of myself as being shy. I always sort of saw it as not confident, but I don't really think I knew what not being shy was. And I think I was shy. That's sort of funny, isn't it, to look back now and think I just went, oh, I'm just not very confident. But I actually think I was shy. Oh, good. Oh, you're such a darling. So, Amy, tell me, what sort of work have you been doing on yourself, if you don't mind sharing? It'll be interesting to do. Because I always say to people, people come out of relationships and out of childhood, self-worth, beautiful. And you don't always sort of realize how much that impacts you in your world. And sometimes we come out of relationships or jobs and we're very disillusioned or disheartened, but we don't really think that we perhaps have had things that we need to learn from the relationship. So we get up, we go out, and we get into another relationship because it seems like the right thing to do. But actually it's quite damaging, because if you've got problems around your self-worth, your self-esteem, and then you get into another relationship, very often you're meeting that person where you're vibrating. So you're going to pull in someone else who's going to reinforce those issues for you. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. I have met people who've said, no, I'm really lucky. I've met a beautiful man after having a violent or aggressive relationship. And I think sometimes it happens, but a lot of the time it doesn't. Self-worth, confidence, and independence. Yeah. Independence is a big one for many, many people, because we get married young, and then we end up in relationships that are less than perfect, but we've become so dependent on our partners that it's really hard for us to start out again. But such a fantastic feeling, Amy, once you get to that point where you realize you can be so self-sufficient. You just don't want to get to my age where you get too self-sufficient and you don't want to share your bed anymore. I like my bed. I hog my whole bed. And who was it who was saying? It was Caitlin. I don't know if Caitlin went, didn't she? She was saying one time, you're supposed to leave the other side of your bed so that you can bring in a partner. Apparently, if you leave the one side of your bed. So if you're looking for a husband, apparently you leave that other side of the bed so that, if you're inviting somebody into your life, the bed's sort of like, I don't know, some sort of spiritual way of doing things. Oh, you are there. Yes. I sprung you. I'm glad I didn't say anything terrible about you. You were saying about leaving the side of the bed, and I thought about that so much over the next few days, and I kept looking at the other side of the bed and thinking, can I leave the other side of the bed empty? So Spirit knows I want to invite somebody, into my life. And I went, you know what? Oh, that's beautiful, Moonstone. We've missed you too. 2 bathrooms. Always had 2 bathrooms for that reason. Best, saves so much trouble. Absolutely. I think it's the best thing they ever did was have an ensuite in a bathroom. Leave it free so there's a space for a new man. So unfortunately, I tried. I really did. I kept thinking, how would it be if I slept just on one side of the bed? But in the morning, I'd wake up sideways again. So I think subconsciously, I don't want to share my bed. No better. Oh no, I'm on the computer here, not on the iPad. And on the computer here, because it's taped live, it has a different setting to what they have on YouTube. I had somebody look into it for me to see whether I could change the settings, but it's very difficult to actually change. So I use a microphone on the iPad too, but it doesn't seem to make a difference for many people. So I don't really know what goes on with it. But when I do it on here, so I could do the readings on here, but I can't actually tape the readings unless I go live, and I can't do it that way. So it's sort of a little bit of a pickle, really. But they made a whole lot of changes to YouTube on the weekend, and then they were all back to where they were again on Monday. So I don't know what happened there either. So you knit a lot and you sit in your feelings while you knit. Good idea. Hey, Carol, how are you going? Yes, absolutely. And it's about once you get into an emotion, Shah, it's like once you feel the emotion, it's just about really experiencing the emotion. So if you start to feel sad about something, instead of going, I feel sad about that, and just pushing it away because you don't want to feel it, which a lot of us do, pain is not easy for us. Hurt is not easy. But instead of pushing it away, the idea is that you feel it, you embrace it, you learn to really digest that feeling and then let it go. So experience it first and then let it go rather than pushing it away. That's probably because Joe's still sleeping in there, Jane. Yeah, good. Chakra unblocking, very, very good. You do need to unblock your chakras, especially coming out of relationships and childhood stuff, because your grounding is not as good as it should be. Meditating is It's something I've done for a very long time. But I change the meditations I do until I find something I want to stick with for a while, and then I'll stick with it. But I've been doing a bit more shadow work lately. I did a lot of shadow work a while back, but then I realized I needed to go back and uncover a few more things. So that's what I'm doing. It's great to have you here, Carol. And there's been a few people today who have missed out before, so it's nice to see you all back on. Not that I'm on for much longer because it's 5 to 12, but it's been great having a chat. I love to catch up with the shows. Nobody answered me about watching Ozark. Has nobody seen Ozark? How can I talk about a really good series if nobody's seen it? But yeah, last time somebody mentioned a couple of things. Loving this idea of facing it all. Yeah, to feel it, to heal it. Yep, that's beautiful. Perfect. Somebody said something beautiful to me the other day, and I remember writing it down because I think that sometimes people say things and I think it's perfect. The feeling it to heal it, yes, because what we do, and it's human, we're all human beings, remember? We tend to feel something we feel uncomfortable with, shove it aside, put it away, store it up in here somewhere, and we don't think about it. But I know, for example, I remember for years, because I worked with some really difficult people, young people, and I remember experiencing a complete meltdown because I'd been always so composed with my feelings. I've been really quite anal, and I really believe I was anal then. And I'd have these feelings and things, and I would never discuss them. So if somebody said to me, "You okay?" I'd go, "Sure, I'm great, I'm fine," even if it was melting down on the inside. I would never say to someone, "No, I need help, I need to talk, I need to express myself at the moment." Never knew how to do that. So what happened was, every time we had an incident, I kept shutting it down. So one day I had a huge incident at work. And I lost it completely. I totally lost it. And I remember I had the most horrible woman boss. And I remember her saying to me, "Do you need something?" And I remember saying, "Yes, this time I do. This time I need counseling." And she was really funny about it. And I was like, "Yeah, I put it off so many times now." Capricorn? Yeah, that's the part of the Capricorn that I let go a long time ago, and have been working on it. No, I didn't see the ducks yet, Caitlin. I'll go and have a look soon. Off for a walk soon. Oh, there you go. I love Ozark. Carol, thank you. It's brilliant. I can't wait for the next season. Really, really good, Scott. Watch it. Really good. That's the one with Jason Bateman in it. It's very, very good. It's about money laundering for the mob. Really cool, really cool. Not money laundering. I mean, the show's really cool. Yeah, so I think that a lot of us don't realize how to sit in our feelings. And sometimes things happen, and I'm much more open with my emotions now. Like, things come to the surface so much more easily. But for a long time there, I would just shut myself down. I didn't want to really show anybody that things hurt me. I never wanted to expose my emotions to people. So I would go away and just do it silently. And I always say to people, one of the greatest things I ever learned was how to let off steam. Because if you want to let off steam and let go of your emotions, fabulous thing to do is to get in the car, turn the music on full belt, and scream your guts out. And you scream and scream and scream until your emotions hit the surface, and then you cry. And then usually your crying is quite uncontrollable. You're probably going to end up sobbing with a headache and being exhausted because you just let it go. And I learned that a little while ago. And I used to drive home from work, and I did it more regularly because I knew I'd bottle things up. I've been a big bottler. That's why I don't understand when they say about, women being more emotional, because I'm a terrible bottler. I'm not very good at asking for what I need. Well, I never used to be very good at that. I'm getting brilliant at it now. You didn't stick with it. Oh, Moira, it took me about 5 times to watch the first episode, so don't give up on it, please. It's really good. Feelings are messy. in whatever. Yeah, absolutely. And feelings are not meant to be held inside. And see, a lot of people think they're feelings, they don't feel them. And that's why I think it's really good sometimes just to sit with what you're feeling, whether you're angry, whether you're sad, sit with your feelings, experience them, understand what they're there for. They're there to help you heal. And you're quite right, Carol, in saying you heal what you feel, or you feel what you heal, whatever. Yes, scream from her soul. Yeah. Yes. Very good. They were beautiful. I've still got to watch it. I still want to watch a couple of them through. I've got them in my YouTube thing. But definitely, I think that we all bottle up certain things. Some people are great with their emotions. Some people are so expressive. They can really talk about. As a child, I wrote a lot of poetry. A lot of poetry. And I do sing a lot. I sing a lot. So, oh, you're welcome, Priestess Moon. You can't hurry love. Pisces, emotional. You know what? I have a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn sun. I'm a Libra moon. So it's sort of a very different energy, because I think I'm mostly have cardinal signs, but have a Scorpio rising and an Aquarius Venus. So I'm a little bit sort of different in that regard. I remember somebody coming on and saying they had exactly the same planets as me. I love that. That's so true, Carol. I've had people get in my car and I've started the car up and the radio's flared out and I've frightened the life out of people. Very good idea. Carol says make sure you turn your volume down, because you may not be the same the next morning as what you were when you did that activity. Yeah, so unfortunately, yes, I don't have a lot of emotionality in terms of signs. But yeah, I'm learning. And I guess that's the journey, isn't it? That's the South Node, North Node journey, coming from the perspective. I'm a Taurus Scorpio. So, coming from the South Node of Taurus and being that more practical, sort of minded, logical sort of person, getting through to the Scorpio, which has sort of got all the nice occulty stuff in it. We could give people some tips, couldn't we? But Hayley, yes, I agree with you, and I've done it too. So it is unbearably painful to sit with your feelings, and that I found that on the weekend, and that's why I said I'm learning. I am learning. I'm learning a lot about those sort of things. And I guess the great thing is I can come on here and share with you, and then, not everybody will need to do that, but there'll be some of you that will take that on board and do it, and you will really heal from it. But that's the healing. I've been, like I was taught as a child not to cry. I shouldn't get angry. There was no room for anger, no room for crying. Little girls did not cry. So that you sort of brought up in this sort of energy of not being able to express your emotions. So I became quite a bottler. And it was sort of like always for me that get on the horse, go for it again, just get straight back on the horse and get out there and do it again. So I was very, like I say, anal, because I had everything inside. I agree with you, Hayley. It is painful. And sometimes people say to me, this is a really difficult journey. I have people say that to me. And I think, you know what? It's very hard, but it's worth it. Because what you find at the end is like finding the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I've sort of got an energy here. I can feel someone standing here. The actual embracing your truth, embracing your true self is something so amazing. And I know I've still got a long way to go, and it's just beautiful that I have you all here on the journey with me, because many of you are going through, well, most of the collective are going through some sort of similar experience. So it's pretty incredible. Ozark, yes. Yes. Yes, Haley, I know, and it's great, isn't it? And I watched you. I can't sometimes even put it into words when I see people grow. There is a beauty about you now because you're so comfortable with who you are and you're so comfortable with the decisions you're making, and it's changed your energy completely. And the thing is, when it changes your energy, it changes everybody's energy around you. And there's no doubt about the fact that when they talk about and spirit talks about the healing, that that is what they're doing. Before I go today, I'm going to share a story with you. I think it's really cute. And I think it's really important for many people here, and you're going to take something away from this, okay? Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, guys. I was listening to a meditation the other day, and this guy told a story, and it was so incredibly full of impact for me. And I want to share it with you because I know some of you are going to take something away from this. There was a farmer walking home one afternoon when he came across an egg on his driveway. And he picked up the egg, and he wasn't sure what sort of egg it was, but it was most likely the egg of a much bigger bird because of the size of the egg. So he took it back and he put the egg in with his chickens because he wasn't sure whether the egg would still hatch, how long it had been there for. Anyway, finally the egg hatched, and it was an eagle that was in the egg. But the eagle grew up to think he was a chicken because he didn't know any different. So when the other chickens flew, because chickens don't fly very fast, so he only flew with the chickens because he thought, well, I'm only a chicken, so I fly as far as the chickens do. And one day he was sitting in the yard and he looked up in the sky and there was a bird in the sky flying. And he said to the other chickens, "What's that?" And they said, "Oh, that's an eagle." And he went, "Wow, and that eagle can fly right up there. Wow. But I'm only a chicken, so therefore I'm going to stay here and just be a chicken." And the eagle stayed a chicken. And I feel like the story is here. Just because you're raised around people who don't want to let you fly, don't believe you can't. And it was such a big impact of that story. When the guy said at the end of it, "And the eagle stayed a chicken," I went, how many of us stay the chicken? Because we don't know any different. So I'm going to leave you there. Oh, beautiful. Thanks, Carol. I love having all of you guys on board. I'm so grateful for this journey too. I'm so grateful. Isn't it a gorgeous story, Haley? It was so simple, but it just really hit home for me. I thought so many of us live our lives as chickens, not realizing we can fly up there with the big guys. I'm leaving you there. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you next week.